Hi everyone, welcome to our weekly Q&A session, and it is today my very big pleasure to welcome here Coach Cristian, who is our newest addition to our coaching team, and also he is my teammate, my co-coach in our Orange team. So welcome Cristian, and how are you today?
Thank you so much, Veronica. Really appreciate the opportunity to be here. I'm doing great. I'm super excited for this opportunity. So, yeah, it's wonderful. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm really happy about all these Q&As because I get to know people more, those who I work with, and it's really. We just were for those who are listening to us. We're just talking with Coach Christian. What an amazing community we are building here, like as well as coaches and as well all those people who are in our insomnia immunity program. They are so amazing, and we like so much that the people who have started basically the insomnia immunity program, they get help from those who are a bit more advanced in their insomnia recovery journey. And really, to have the support from people who have been through the struggles, who experience the same problems, the same issues, it's also helpful to not feel so lonely in such a struggle. So, I believe we can start because the questions are coming, and I have one question for the beginning that we had in the YouTube, and we have a question from Joeman13. I've been on this journey for about 6 months now. I have read the books, watched all the videos, and have a good understanding of everything. I have ever been sleeping better as of late. However, every night I still find myself thinking and wondering about sleep. I still hit the pillow at night and find myself monitoring. Any advice to help let go once and for all? So, what would be your go to answer, Christian?
First of all, thanks for your question. A couple of things I would say. Number one, this is so incredibly normal, right? It's wonderful to add information, knowledge, and understanding, but it definitely takes a while for us to uh, be able to get to a point where we find peace. I liken the journey of insomnia like almost like a car crash, right? This is can be very traumatic to our system, can be a very traumatic experience. And so whenever there's any fear, it does take a while for us to find complete and absolute peace. So even to this day, even though I've been sleeping great for quite a while, there's still times where I feel a little bit nervous or a little bit anxious before going to bed, and so those thoughts are completely normal. I mean, just think about this. If a friend of yours was in a car accident and a couple of months after, the person said, sometimes I get a little nervous, I get a little scared when I get in a car. Your response would be, absolutely, of course, you had a very traumatic experience, that something very scary happened. So you're still going to have moments where you're going to feel a little bit uneasy or unsettled. So whenever I still feel any of this fear or a bit of an anxiety or ruminating thoughts, are a little bit negative, I like to think about them first of all, and I'd like to recognize that it's completely normal and natural. And with time, things will subside. But it's not like a light switch. It just really just the levels of anxiety decrease with time, and our thoughts tend to kind of come and go as well. So you're doing great, right? You're doing everything you should be doing, and just understanding that these thoughts are going to be completely normal and natural in your process to your recovery. So just sit with those thoughts, recognize them, acknowledge them, right? Because if we don't acknowledge them, they can tend to persist or linger. And be real kind to yourself, be real gentle, and understand that this is something that the more we are patient and kind with ourselves, the more we can kind of progress and not have those negative thoughts or feelings. So that's my thought. What do you think, Coach?
Perfect. Perfect, Coach Daniel. Thank you so much for your answer. And I only second everything what you have said. Maybe I would just add that for some people, it's helpful to say that these thoughts come habitually. That this monitoring is your brain is doing it because it has been used to doing it. So that's why you're monitoring automatically. And that's why when something is automatic, you can give yourself more self-kindness, just like you said, like it's okay that my brain is monitoring, it's trying to keep me safe. And when we allow this experience to happen, it will slowly fade away. It will not be an immediate reaction. It will take some time. So, uh, again, I only second what you're saying, Christian. Just do what you are doing, be kind to yourself, and you are doing really, really great. So, thank you. And we can move on. We have a hello from the Philippines. Hello, thank you. And KJ, hi, it's nice to meet you both. Thank you. Hello. And we have a question from Dutch Durango. What can I do about insomnia created by medication withdrawal? Do you have any thoughts on this, Christian?
So I would say that insomnia is more of a fear of wakefulness.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we can perceive that the medication or something else is causing it. But the more we understand what is actually causing the insomnia, the more we can separate those two feelings and those two thoughts, and focus more of realizing what's the best approach to dealing with insomnia. So um, I don't. As far as I understand, there really isn't any kind of medication or medication withdrawals that can cause insomnia. It can cause maybe potential disrupted sleep, or maybe anxiety or other thoughts coming just because of maybe the attachment that we potentially put on the medication. But insomnia is more of this fear and this hyper arousal that's created. So I think taking it more of an approach of, like we do here in this program, uh, befriending wakefulness, right? Taking more of an approach of realizing that these fears are are uh, are not real, and that the brain has perceived it as a threat, can help us to understand that there isn't anything to concern ourselves with. So I think the first step would definitely be detaching ourselves from believing the medication is what's causing the insomnia.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So this is a really great answer. I don't have much to add. I just want to highlight, like you mentioned, that we differentiate here insomnia as sleep disruption, like when people have disrupted sleep, and insomnia, the way we see it in the sleep coach school, is it a fear of not sleeping. And when we have sleep disruption, of course, it can be caused by medication withdrawal. Of course, disrupted sleep, there are countless of causes, but when there is fear attached to this sleep disruption, then this fear is basically what we can work on and what we can help, right? And this fear consists of our physical symptoms, of our thoughts, and just all the things you mentioned. Great. So now we have another question from Jennifer Santana. Hi, Jennifer. Guys, please help. I'm wondering if going to sleep at an earlier time is possible, even if I'm not too tired. I go to sleep at 1 a.m., but before insomnia, it would be 11:45. Um, uh, I'm not sure, like, and what exactly is the direction of the question, whether, uh, because when we are not too tired, when we don't have sufficient sleep drive, it's really hard for us to fall asleep, right? And this is when it gets a little bit tricky. When it's because when we start to chase sleep and we are not really tired, then it can backfire at us. But when we just want to uh, go to bed earlier, because we are also we have to get up earlier, then we can stay in bed and enjoy ourselves. Like, we can see it as a time for rest. And when our body is ready, we will fall asleep, right? But if we just go to bed with this intention, I have to sleep now, this is tricky. So Um I would say, I would just reiterate, when you just want to go to sleep earlier, but you don't have enough sufficient sleep drive, it can be tricky. But if you just want to little bit play with your circadian rhythm, if this is your question, Jennifer, that you are used to getting up later and now you need to get up earlier, you also can play with this, right? But quite, I would say the most helpful thing here would be the time of sleep window. Just look at the time, let's say at 11:45, at 11, and then don't look at the time and just go by your feeling. And because you would be getting up earlier, then of course you would be earlier tired. So follow your body here, and I believe you can set yourself to go into sleep earlier. Is there anything you would like to add, Christian?
Well, I think you answered it beautifully. I think it makes perfect sense what you stated. The only thing, maybe personally for me, my sleep window starts at 10 o'clock at night, and I don't look for necessarily a feeling or sensation of feeling sleepy. I look more of a what would I enjoy doing? And sometimes I just enjoy going to bed early. So as long as we don't have the goal to go to sleep, that monitoring is not going to be there. So, like you said, if we want to just go to bed and it feels comfortable and relaxing, we can definitely fall asleep. But definitely wouldn't give myself any type of pressure to try and perform or be
Yeah.
able to make something happen. So,
This is a great point. Thank you. Okay, we have hello from Germany. Hi, Sabrina. And the question is, do you see liver issues can cause insomnia because of the poisons in the body the liver can't clear? Mm, any ideas?
I would say with anything medical, we can definitely have sleep disruptions for sure. But again, back to insomnia. Insomnia is the fear of wakefulness. So we can have several days, right? We can have either upsets. I've had nights where you eat something and you have an upset stomach and you just have a hard time sleeping. But as long as we don't attach it to this fear of wakefulness, then it really is not going to be insomnia. It's going to be more of a sleep disruption
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
with a
exactly.
coach.
Yeah. And, what I'm correlating this to is so many times people are afraid of insomnia because they read things like, if you don't sleep enough, the toxins in your brain are not cleared. And this is what's causing us or these people to be afraid of not sleeping and creating more pressure. So if you are reading this kind of scary stories, what everything insomnia can cause to you, then it creates more pressure. And the pressure is not really, um, mm, it, it's kind of like an obstacle to our peaceful sleep. So I just want to reassure you, Sabrina, that despite not sleeping, your body knows how to function. We might feel tired, we might feel exhausted, but our body is a survival machine and it does its best to function even when we don't sleep like we imagine, right? Like we would like to. So, uh, good. So, thank you for the question, Sabrina. And we have a hello from India. Hi, Himanshu. And now we have a question from Ricardo Gross. I take 7.5 milligram mirtazapine and 25 milligram quetiapine, and my sleep is so unrefreshed, like I never slept. Let me see if there is anything else from him. Ricardo? No, I don't see any other question from Ricardo. So I guess this is also the question. So what do you think, Ricardo? What do you think, Christian? Yeah. Okay, the word is yours.
So, Ricardo, one of the things that we learn in this program is that medications really can't make us sleep. medications can be sedating, can be calming, but the sleep comes from us. So I would definitely would detach the medications from our struggle in sleeping, and I think that that's definitely step number one in this program. So when I started with my insomnia, I was convinced that medication was what would help. And what I quickly realized that there wasn't a single medication that would ever help me sleep. And so I can't remember exactly. I know I tried trazodone and there were several other ones in there, but they would maybe last me a couple of days. I would get a little bit of sleep and then I felt very groggy the next day. And so the doctor would just keep prescribing a higher and higher dose. And I never was able to sleep well. I was, if I got any sleep, and sometimes I wouldn't get any sleep at all, I just felt very, very sedated and even zombie-like at times with those higher doses. So just remember, medications cannot help you sleep.
Yeah, exactly. So thank you. And we have a question from K Jane. I have severe chronic insomnia. I only sleep 2 hours some nights, and the sleep is so light it feels I've not sleep. Other nights I sleep for a few hours, but it's not deep and it's constant dreams. So what does it remind you, Christian? What kind of sleep is this?
Oh, this is hypersleep for sure.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and so um, the more attention we try and give to our sleeping and monitoring, right? I did everything you're not supposed to do when I started, right? I kept Googling things to do, and I started wearing the Apple Watch to track my sleep. And if I wasn't sleeping X amount of hours, or if I wasn't getting X amount of REM sleep, I was worried and it created anxiety. And I kept looking at the clock and trying to figure out how much I was sleeping. So there's a lot of hyper arousal and hyper sleep in this process right now. So a couple of things I would recommend or consider is going timeless. Find a window, and timeless doesn't mean this is the time that you go to bed. Timeless just means at one point at night you just stop looking at the clock and just kind of go about your night. Whenever you feel like you need to rest or go to bed, do so until the alarm gets up in the morning. And then the other thing, of course, would be befriending wakefulness, finding things that feel calming or can be beneficial to you. So we're showing that the subconscious that we are okay, that we're safe, and any of those fears or anxiety is basically um, what's the word? Um, a perceived fear as opposed to like a real threat or a concern. So,
Mm-hmm.
what do you think, Coach?
Yeah, absolutely. It's it does the hypersleep, and it's like I remember the coach Daniel's teaching about hypersleep, like how he was explaining the gas and brake model, where we have the gas, which is our sleep drive, and the brake, which is the hyperarousal. And it's our hypersleep is like driving a car when both pedals are pushed down. So this is exactly this kind of sleep. The positive thing about this is that you are sleeping more than you think. The sleep is not refreshing, the sleep is not really a really nice one, but it's a lot about our perception of it. For example, when I experienced hypersleep, which were when I had the dreams or the time skipped, I was so glad because it meant I slept.
Right.
Dreams meant sleeping, right? But whereas I also see people where they are, oh my goodness, I didn't sleep well. I had this hypersleep. I didn't sleep properly, and you know they are more likely to stay in this kind of hypersleep state for a bit longer. But when you perceive it as something positive, like, hey, I'm getting sleep, my body knows how to sleep, it is just the hyperarousal playing in this game, right? This hyperarousal is causing me to have a little bit more lighter sleep. But when we just go to a reason why we experience this hyperarousal, this is just for the safety purpose, because our brain is sending us this message of hyperarousal, this message of, hey, there is a threat out there. And because our brain thinks there could be a possible harm. It needs to keep us awake. So when we are awake, we can watch out for threats. So, but when you allow this hypersleep, when you allow the hyperarousal to be with you, in the end, it will just fade away, and your sleep will be just like in pre-insomnia times. So, okay, and right, we have a question from Himanshu. I've had OCD for most of my life. There is always something troubling me mentally. I have had health anxiety also in past. It's almost impossible to tame in my wandering mind. So thank you for the question. I can start here, and we very often, or uh, when in the sleep school, we also talk about OCD because sometimes. Or very often the sleep efforts are very similar to OCD. We have the urge to do something, and when we don't do it, we believe that something bad is going to happen. Like we have this idea of I have to take my chamomile tea, I have to perfect my room conditions, I have to do this, do that. And if we don't do it, if we don't perfect it, we are not going to sleep. So this is very similar to OCD when someone has to, for example, wash his hands many, many times so he don't have these bacteria on his hands, right? And so this is, but when you sometimes uh, we talk about the uncertainty when the when we don't do something, we don't feel safe. And this is all about teaching ourselves, our brain, that when we don't do these sleep efforts, we are still going to be fine. When we don't wash our hands for the 10th time, we still are going to be safe. We will be fine. So there is something, there is this correlation between OCD and the sleep efforts. This is one thing. And the other thing is health anxiety. Uh, this is like one of the personality traits when people experience insomnia, like they are very health oriented. I have to perfect my health, including my sleep, so I can be perfectly healthy, perfectly well. And very often we need to challenge our beliefs around health. And because from the media, we hear very often if I don't sleep 8 hours every single night, I'm going to have a heart attack, Alzheimer's, the Parkinson's, all the possible disease. But in fact, uh, I haven't met anybody who would have this kind of disease caused by insomnia. And the third thing, and in fact, it's not the health that you need to focus on. It's the anxiety, it's the feelings and emotions that come with it. And the last thing, what you're saying, it's almost impossible to tame in my wandering mind. Um, when your mind is wandering too much, or in a way you don't like it, just write it down. We call it like journaling or the constructive worry method. Write down your thoughts. See what kind of emotion is this bringing up. Is it fear? Is it anxiety? And when you experience these kind of emotions, you all you need to do is just to sit with them, just to be with them, because they are like signals. Your brain is sending you these signals of anxiety or thoughts, and your brain wants you to listen to them, to hear them. And the great way of listening is writing things down, because when you write your thoughts down, your brain is slowing down and processing much better and much easier. So I hope this was helpful, Himanshu. Do you have anything to add, Christian?
That was, yeah, that was a great answer. I mean, that covers everything pretty well. I would just add just one of the things that I noticed when you talked about having ruminating thoughts, writing, journaling them down. I've also done this with my family, with my wife and my kids. Whenever they have these kind of constant ongoing thoughts, I always go, these are messages that you're being sent. Let's take a moment and just ponder why these messages keep coming. And oftentimes, especially with me, during my insomnia phase, was fear. It always came down to fear. So I had all these little rituals I would do at night, and so what I started doing is, once I recognized it was fear, I noticed that with time the anxiety would definitely decrease. And also, I got to a point where I thought, okay, I do these 5 little rituals at night. What if, one of these days, whenever I feel comfortable, what if I just not do them, just see what happens? And when I would do those things, I realized that it had nothing to do with this ritual that helped me sleep. It was just something that was comforting for me during those difficult nights. So we're always trying to hang on to something to bring us some comfort, whether it's washing our hands or whatever it is. So yeah, I think that's wonderful, and looking into those thoughts and those feelings can definitely bring you some insight into what it is. And the more we understand where these thoughts and feelings are coming from, the more peace we can have.
So thank you. And we also have a thank you now from Durango. Very helpful. Thank you, guys. You're welcome. And also from Sabrina. Thank you for answering. You're welcome. And so we can do one last question. What do you think? And okay, let's see. Mm-hmm. Da-da-da-da-da. Okay, let's answer this one. A question from Victor Contreras. Hi, I'm having multiple wake ups, like I wake up 4 or 5 times a night. I wake up almost every hour. What do you think? What do you think the issue is? I can't fall asleep. So, what's your go-to answer, Christian?
So Victor, a couple things. All of us wake up many times in the night. When people are not dealing with any sleep issues or insomnia, they just may not even notice or recognize it. They just move and just go right back to sleep. When we start tracking or monitoring the number of times we wake up, now the brain is monitoring what's going on, and then it can start creating these patterns. For me, at one point, as I started getting some sleep or sleeping better, there were times that I would wake up maybe even 10 times a night. And instead of thinking or worrying or being concerned about I just thought, oh, maybe my body just needs to check and assess what's going on, and things will change, because really nothing ever stays the same. The more attention we give it, the more monitoring, the more energy we give it, then the more it's going to increase. So that went on for me for months. I still wake up at nights in the middle of the night, but I give it so little attention or energy to it. It's definitely has decreased quite a bit. But I can't remember the last time I supposedly slept throughout the night without getting up at least a few times a night. So absolutely, definitely normal. You don't have to really do much about it other than just recognize that it happens to all of us. It's just so much more about the attention we give it, or the energy we give those times that we wake up. What do you
Perfect.
think, Coach Veronika?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't have nothing much to add. Just some people, they are afraid. Like, for example, at the beginning, they had sleep onset insomnia, then it had changed to sleep maintenance insomnia. And they get scared, like, oh my goodness, what has changed? Has something gone wrong? No, it's still the same old insomnia. It just changed its form. So there is really nothing to be afraid of. Just please educate yourself, stay on the channel, and implement the teachings. So, and one last thank you note from K Jane. Thank you so much for answering. I appreciate it a lot, and now my mind has been put at rest. So I'm really glad to hear that, K Jane. And I thank you everybody for being here, for posting the questions. The next Q&A will be next week. And thank you so much, Christian, for coming here today. And I'll see you next time. Bye.
Thank you, Veronika. Thanks, everyone.